Star Citizen has had a large update to their roadmap, adding downstream and new feature teams to their progress tracker, and they are now declaring it to be version 1.0 of the progress tracker roadmap stuff. So a lot of what's been added with these new teams to the roadmap is, as you might expect, work on features that we already see on the roadmap, finishing them off or adding some finishing touches to them. However, let me give you some highlights of what's new and being worked on over the next year. But please be aware that this is not sort of like confirmations that this particular work will get put into the next proximate patch or anything as a feature. They could require more work beyond what's listed. They could change, there could be delays, all that sort of stuff. So with that prefix in mind, vending machines have had work that completes at the end of April, though it's just the mocap for that. Xi'an facial rigging is currently being worked on, so we will see the Turtle Boys at some point in the game. Vulkan integration and the Gen 12 renderer wraps up work in June, at least the first tier of it. This will phase out DirectX 11 and phase in Vulkan and some other improvements. They're also working on improved option menus as well. Work on salvage has started, and that should be done before the 3.15 release. Orison version 1 and Crusader are making progress and look to wrap up between now and mid-June. There appears to be a big star map and radar system rework, potentially adding a local area map and mini-map. That's looking to finish its work towards the end of June as well. Capacitors for weapons, thrusters, shields, etc. are all being worked on, and that's going to have you making more energy allocation based decisions for your ship, and that's going to really affect gameplay and dogfighting and that sort of stuff. A lot of that's wrapping up in June. We might see the asset manager soon as that wraps up in June as well, and that's going to allow us to track ships and gear and our items, and that's going to be really important when we have local inventories to keep track of where everything is. Creature rigging pipeline starts in June. Firesprite are making some updates to the Arena Commander, Broken Moon and Dying Star maps for the start of July, it looks like. We've got work on a roaming illegal goods dealer that brokers less illegal items that's being worked on. They're starting to work on cybernetic concepts as part of the Death of the Spaceman mechanics. Moving into end of Q3, start of Q4 now. Work on jump points is going to allow us to travel to new systems, and they plan to complete the work that's currently listed for mid-September. Jump modules are also being worked on too. Current work on ship-to-ship refueling completes early September at the moment. This feature will allow you to refuel other ships and get paid to do that. The assumption there is that the Starfarer will be able to fill its fuel tanks with quantum fuel or hydrogen fuel and then turn up and, refill another ship. Loot generations are going to help support local inventories and deeper gameplay. That wraps up mid-May. But there's deeper work going on to loot generation, and they've got like another tier of it that allows you to have lots more different types of container, has better loot generation, and has ways to break into containers, things like that. And that work is supposed to be completed in September. The Hull C looks like it might be getting ready for mid-October, with a load of its work completing then. Currently listed for completion for mid-December is Pyro and its initial setup. This includes initial mission setup as well, so could we have Pyro by the end of the year? I mean, it's possible, but it's much more likely to be a first half of next year, 2022 thing, in my opinion now. We'll have to wait and see. There's loads of hospital work going on throughout the year, so New Babbage and Orison look like they're getting finished first, but they're also working on Area 18 and Lorville, and they even have some future plans for Levski, which is a different star system. Also, their staff, doctors, patients and nurses are getting work too. There are some hugely important features and gameplay being completed by the gameplay features teams. That's wrapping up towards the end of the year, it seems. Environmental gameplay, new activities that are focused on gameplay in the environment, expanding interactions with objects placed around locations, and new dangers in the environment, both natural and human-made. Long-distance probing, allowing players to launch quantum-traveling probes that can detect signatures at extreme ranges far beyond the reach of ship scanners. The signature can ultimately be used to identify points of interest and plan quantum travel. This is exploration gameplay, and, well, science, and lots of other gameplays connected to it. Mining, salvage, loads of stuff. This is core to Star Citizen. This is core to missions. This is core to doing interesting things in the game. What should I do today? Oh, I'll scan down some points of interest and, oh, I found a scrap site. I found an asteroid site. I found a pirate base. I've found these other interesting things. It's so important to the game for tracking, for missions, for exploration, for loads of stuff. I'm so really excited for that. Resource management. This system will handle resources for stations, settlements, cities, and other locations. It will also unlock engineering station gameplay for ships, letting players manage power, CPU, fuel, shields, coolant. This is all part of physical components, but also allows much more in-depth battles, damage control, and balance. It is, again, a core part of Star Citizen and super important to everything. Art on the Space Whale and Space Whale mascot suit are being worked on. Tech debt is something that's given a lot of time in the roadmap. But that's not all. Cloud Imperium have also said that there are some new priorities for the Persistent Universe gameplay team. Selling. This feature deals with the ability to sell items back to shops. Players will have the ability to sell items from their local inventory to the shop using the building blocks tech. This will also support a generalized loot system that will fill lockers and enemy backpacks with random assortments of items that can be looted and taken back to shops to sell for money. So again, connected to the loot system that we talked about earlier. Persistent hangars. Work that grants players the ability to have their own persistent hangars. This will also bring changes to the cargo gameplay loop by allowing players to pack their grids manually. That is, those two features, selling and persistent hangars, great. But also, persistent Habs. Work that grants the player the ability to have their own persistent Habs. Nothing more is said there, but that's going to be great. I want a customizable Hab that is my own. I mean, in the short term, is it going to change address based on what's available on the server where I spawn? Well, it's my room, but maybe it spawns at different locations, sort of like how Habs work at the moment, technically. So they just go, well, yeah, you're in this location, you're at this outpost or whatever, but your room's actually in this pod today, and now it's in this pod. But it's still the same room, and it's fully custom. That's what I'd expect from the first iteration of that, but maybe it will be fully addressed, physicalized, persistent Habs. That would be amazing. There was also just some general updates to the roadmap filters, and you can sort of like filter by team or deliverable alphabetically. You can search on there now as well, and you can sort of like see linked deliverables and what teams are working on them. Cloud Imperium are also now planning to constantly show around 4 quarters out of development on the release view, and plan to update the roadmap accordingly a month or 2 after a major patch has been released. So they should be doing that consistently. Expect a couple of months after a major patch has been released, bam, you should see the next patch. So for example, we should see the Q1 2022 patch at the end of May added to the roadmap there. And this should mean that we're not in a position ever where we're like, why is there only 1 patch out on the roadmap at the end of the year? Well, what's coming in the next 3 quarters? We have no idea. It's not all good news and new stuff though, due to rescheduling and a priority check. There are some features that have been temporarily removed from the progress tracker at this time, though they will be added again once they work out what's going on, or in the future. The physics team's physical quantum travel movement, phys area refactor, and large object buoyancy for water. The mission team's features that were affected were Grimhex races, prisons v3, dynamic population, and bounty hunting v2. So some of that I am actually disappointed that we're not going to see, especially bounty hunting v2, the phys area refactor. Grimhex racing for bits, because obviously they added that new area at Grimhex, but we haven't seen any use for it yet. The Persistent Universe gameplay team has had the mission manager app, org perks and benefits, and the notification system affected as well. And on a side note, the devs tools team has been split into tools and editor teams, both separate on the tracker now. Bam. They have confirmed that spawn lockers have moved to a 3.13.x patch, along with ship-to-station docking, the Tumbrel Nova, the Hercules, C2 and M2. The roadmap roundup that Cloud Imperium put out every 2 weeks is likely to be quite short and brief. Now going forward, they've said, as it's intended to highlight any major changes, or if there's a schedule change or new patch feature or whatever. I do wish the Cloud Imperium would understand that a more fleshed out talk about features and development progress in the roadmap roundup would go a long way. I actually want more content from them when it comes to this sort of thing rather than less. I want them to be talking every couple of weeks about changes to the roadmap and changes to features on the roadmap, in addition to the monthly reports and that sort of jazz. However, that new roadmap is a wealth of information and it is going to be very regularly updated, so I'm looking forward to that. I think it grabs pretty regularly the updates from their own Jira sort of feature plans and that sort of stuff, so great amount of information there. It is still a little hard to read and sort of scry from it. But that's it for a highlight of the new roadmap and the features that Cloud Imperium are planning on working on this year that were added to it. Obviously, there's a huge amount more, and we cover that relatively regularly on the channel, and you can check out the rest of the videos on my channel for more information on individual sort of looks at the roadmap at certain times and plans for patches and all that sort of jazz. But really, it's what's planned for the patches, what's coming on the release view that's sort of tangible gameplay, and that sort of stuff is much more relevant to us. When it's on the release view, well, that means it's much more likely to become a reality. I think there's at least a 70% confidence of a feature once it's appeared on the release view that it's going to be in that patch, and stuff still happens, stuff still gets delayed, and we're going to see that with the progress tracker especially, and we don't know exactly where these features are landing yet because they're not on the release view, a lot of them, but we know that they will appear at some point. But yeah, a lot of solid tangible information there. But what do you think? Could we see the Gen 12 renderer later this year? What about the Hull C? Are we going to see that? Are you excited for anything in particular? There were some pretty major sort of feature updates that the Persistent Universe gameplay teams are working on, like persistent hangars and Habs, selling and looting, and like some of that is so exciting to me. But also jump points and pyro, and I do think mapping updates and the ability to potentially find other points of interest and travel to them, and star map updates and the sort of the mini map and map, that is probably the thing I'm most looking forward to that was mentioned in those updates, to be honest. That is truly exciting to me because I want to play the game, I want to go exploring, I want to find new cool stuff. I'd love to know what you think though. Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Do you have questionable taste in anime? Do you not want internet pirates looting your internet search history? Do you want a way to have more accessibility to the internets from more countries? Or is your security and privacy important to you? Well, get NordVPN. I shill for them and you should use the code BoredGamer or the links below for a discount. Try it out. It's like a fleet of escort ships making sure your internet experience doesn't get griefed. We have the April ship giveaway as well for a Mercury Star Runner. The ship is extremely multi-role and should be part of any budding citizen's fleet. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning one is comment on any of my videos made during the month. A random commenter will take that prize. These giveaways and the wider channel content are made possible by people that go the extra mile by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube channel member with that join button and the links below. And me and Zin, the editor for the channel, are now trying to put out regular exclusive content as a thank you. We'll also be asking you in those videos to help shape the channel with making decisions about what content we do and how we do it. Please consider joining if you're really enjoying the content. It really does help. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more Star Citizen content, and I'll see you in the verse.